space. The final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Adequate. Our ongoing mission: to review every episode and movie of Star Trek in existence, to seek out new guests and make them very uncomfortable, to boldly go where many other Star Trek-based YouTube channels have gone before. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Treks and Trekkers worldwide, and welcome to yet another live episode of Trekking Up North. This is episode 5. Some people would think we're mildly professional. I am one of your hosts.
Episode 6, isn't it? Isn't it?
Fifth one record, fifth one live. Fifth one live.
Oh, right. Do the other ones not count?
No, they never do.
Oh, they're all just lies.
I'm one of your hosts, Captain Goodwill, and joining me, as ever, is the delectable, the delicious, the devious, the joie de vivre, Geesian, from the planet Honk. He's not Commando Synoiz, although he wishes he was. He is Science Officer Synoiz.
All right. I'm a sad Synoiz today. We've just...
Is it because you've watched episode 6?
It really is. Is it? Oh, no, it is episode 6. Yeah, it is. It's actually... You know what? I'm just coming out straight, guys. This episode is wank. Are we a minute in? This episode is utter
We're 2
wank,
minutes in. You can say what you want.
Annoyed. I'm so annoyed. We were doing so well. I was really enjoying the series, and then we get this where you're like, oh no, you forgot how to write. It's everything.
It was good.
I'm struggling to find positive things, so strap in. This might be a difficult episode.
Strap in and strap on, because it was going so well. And then I watched this episode and I said to Synoiz, I wish I went to the shop after I watched this episode, because I went to the shop before.
I wish I'd gone during. That's why this episode was.
I wish I had Kanar with Damar because of this episode. This is... Shall we get to the sponsors first before we get into
let's
this?
Do the sponsors. Look,
this episode...
Let's have a look at some things that are better than this episode.
Well, this episode of Trekking Up North is sponsored, of course, by our dear friend Isaac, the sexy Tasmanian devil.
His flat cap is better than this episode.
His flat cap can write a more cohesive Star Trek episode and not put in glaring plot holes. Oh, I'm getting angry. No, this episode is sponsored by Trek 365, our delicious Tasmanian devil, Isaac. And he has had a... I got really annoyed this week. The delicious Isaac, he writes these fantastic audio plays, audio episodes, audio novels, whatever you want to call them. They are available on Spotify, link in the description below. He's got a recurring series called Ensign Nobody, and bless him, he works hard promoting these episodes. And a certain podcast that rhymes with Strange New Worlds decided that we're going to take a massive dump on him for no reason. Out of the blue, without zero context. And I think it is highly uncalled for. Isaac works very hard. The comments were uncalled for. Ignore what anybody says. The episodes are absolutely fantastic. And I've got a message directly for Isaac, directly at you. I have got you, bro. And for the wider Trek community. If you pride yourself on tackling toxicity in Trek fandom, and then you yourself display that toxicity, I don't want to be your friend. It's as simple as that.
It's the fact of that we have this whole thing of we've got to be together as a community, especially in the world right now. I mean, I think the thing with Isaac, it was because they didn't like that he was using AI images or things for things. But it's the idea of AI is very scary at the minute, simply because Personally, I'm not a big fan of it, but it's the idea of so many people are so vehemently against it that they are lashing out and attacking people. But at the same time, it's like, well, just understand that these are podcasts that don't have budgets in order to do big fancy things or whatever, and people are
Exactly.
using it for non-profit means.
Yes.
It's the idea of seeing that thing of going, hey, you've got this high ground. How far do you, when do you become a bully, I think. And I think that's
I
exactly what we got here, where we crossed the line dramatically.
it crossed the line, and it's like, hey, if you don't like it, you could have literally just scrolled past. But you took time out of your day to attack someone for no reason, and it hurt, it upset me, and it hurt me because we as a community should not be doing that to fellow Trek content creators. But this happened and I didn't like it. And I just want to give Isaac and Trek 365 a huge shout out. The episodes that he produces are genuinely hilarious. He is one of the funniest people I have ever met, and his flat cap can write a better episode of Starfleet Academy than what we've seen this week.
That
However,
isn't really
moving.
the compliment it should be, but it's still technically true.
Speaking of compliments.
Would you
Oh!
believe? Oh,
Do you
look
want
at
to
that
lead this
terribly designed thing.
one? Do you want to lead
No,
this?
no,
No.
it's rubbish. It's all AI generated nonsense. Look at it. That girl at the front, she's not real. She's AI.
Clearly.
Sunderland Community Soup Kitchen that they're raising money for. Nah, that's AI.
Sunderland doesn't exist.
Soup doesn't even exist. Soup's just dreamt up by Copilot. Um, and then it's been rewritten. It's all Mandela effect. If you've ever had soup, lies. Yeah,
It's a myth
so
created
that's
by
happening
Big
tomorrow,
Campbell.
isn't it? That Tolkien
Yes.
quiz.
It's the nerdy quiz happening tomorrow at Geek Retreat Sunderland at 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I believe it's something. Hang on, I've got the note. I've got. I believe it's. Hang on, I've got the note here about what the quiz is.
Scroll it on a pamphlet or something.
Lord of the Rings
Yes,
quiz.
not the porno. I've had to clarify that for quite a few people. But yeah. Because yeah, we had people who were researching. They're like, "I'm gonna come first," and I'm like, "It looks like you already have." But no, it will be
One ring to
Tolkien
rule them
theme.
all.
So we're covering Hobbit. We're covering Lord of the Rings. Yeah, it's been that kind of difficult working out the quiz and being like, what is too much? Because I've said some sort of, oh, what kind of questions there's going to be, and then some people are like, oh, it's not all going to be like that, is it? And it's like, what? You don't know who Ungoliant is? Okay, well, ooh. But anyway, yes, it should be a lot of fun, and we will see you all there tomorrow, because it's not about getting the questions right. It's not about winning our prize one of a kind mug. It's about having a laugh with your mates, having fun with the stupid drawing rounds, and you can also get our fancy Laser Quest ticket, where you get 2 games of Laser Quest after the quiz, which is ludicrously fun.
The
But yeah, that
raffle
is the quiz. Come down tomorrow if you're in Newcastle or Sunderland, and I'll see you there.
the raffle is going to be interesting. We have delicious prizes making their way to Sunderland as we speak. It is going to be absolutely delicious. So if you are in the northeast of England and you fancy hanging out with a bunch of handsome geeks, hop on down to Sunderland and say hello. However, we are here to review episode 6 of Star Trek Starfleet
We
Academy.
put it off as long as possible.
I mean, we just talked.
Come!
Come! The Desolation of Smaug, not the film I was intending. Come! Let's away. Now,
I'm going to say, actually, before we start, this is the first episode of the series where I actually gave a shit what other people thought about it. Okay, where after I finished watching this, I had to Google it just to be like, what do people think? And this episode has the highest rating on IMDb out of the entire series so far. And it makes me just do the Seymour Skinner thing of no, it's the kids that are wrong. And it's very strange. This has a 7.5, whereas the others haven't got higher than a 6. And you're just kind of going, I'm genuinely shocked. So people must be enjoying this, or it's just optimistic. But it's yeah, I don't know. So if you're in the comments, if you're watching this video after the fact, please comment below with what you liked about it or what you didn't like about it. But yeah, tell us your thoughts because we have the live chat going during this, so I'm interested to hear what people think.
Hello to everybody in the live chat. Hello to the transporter room. Hello to Beth, Dystopian, Joel, and who else have we got in here? We've got everybody else in there. Hello to you guys. Now, this episode, Come Let's Away. We watched this less than an hour ago. I've already forgotten most of it. I have already forgotten most of it. I joke. This... I'm puzzled by this episode because I have seen the reviews. Obviously, I've just seen the episode and I came onto the reviews as I was setting up, and I am puzzled that a lot of people seem to like this episode and seem to think this was a good episode. And I agree with you. Like, I went full skin. I was like, am I out of touch? Yeah. Have I, like, why is this one out of all of them the highest ratio? Is it because of the action that we had in it? What is it? Because I genuinely had issues with this episode in the terms of writing, dialogue, the glaringly huge plot holes that we see. And I it's puzzling me and it's hurting my head because I'm going to get this out of the way, right? Quantum singularity warp drive is not experimental. The Romulans were doing it 800 years prior because every Romulan vessel in the Next Generation onwards had a quantum singularity warp core. So why is this suddenly experimental? What like... How can you not know that one of the greatest races in Star Trek actually use this type of propulsion?
And this is years after they've fallen as an empire, so all of their secrets should be laid bare.
Exactly.
Like all of their technology should be readily available to everyone.
Exactly. And
but I guess maybe they've made it obscure because it kind of stops the burn happening.
I don't know. And
this like, it kind of means, hey, the Romulans wouldn't have been affected by the burn, would they? Because they don't use dilithium.
This is what I was going to say. This is one of my biggest gripes of the burn, because if all the dilithium explodes in the galaxy because someone had a tantrum, and we'll get to that later on, surely a resurgence of Romulan technology would have taken place of matter antimatter warp cores, because quantum singularities do not rely on dilithium crystals. So if warp drive has become inert because dilithium crystals are, mostly destroyed or a scarce resource, surely you would go, well, what other means of warp drive were there? And not one Romulan just went quantum singularity. Not one person.
It's the idea of, obviously, with Picard, we've, written off the Romulan Empire long before this actually happens, long before the burn happens. But it still exists as a technology.
It still exists.
But it's also the idea of they would have been working on it, and Starfleet should have been able to actually get it working, like, as soon as the burn happened. Like, isn't it the first thing you would jump on? Like, the first thing that a scientist would suggest of, oh my God, all the dilithium's gone. Oh yeah, we've got this. Romulans do this. Okay, cool. Oh, we have all their technology because they're not a big power anymore, and we've looted them. Right, great. And it is this thing. It kind of is like just how good this series would be if it wasn't having to deal with things like the burn. Like if it wasn't having to go, oh, how do we fit that into the plot? And oh God, it's upsetting all of the.
It just feels like, and I know Starfleet Academy is optimistic and hopeful for the future and stuff, but it feels like a universe has been created in the 32nd century where everything is dangerous and Starfleet can't do the exploration that it used to do because there's always someone trying to shoot you or someone trying to ambush you, and everything is dangerous and stuff.
And they're idiots and have space stations that only have one ship and no defenses.
Yeah, and it just
which seems like a massive oversight in terms of anything.
I genuinely struggled with this, like all the way through the episode. As soon as they said, "Oh, this is the USS Miyazaki that was testing out experimental quantum singularity drive," and not one person there, even the right. This is the other thing I've got to mention as well. Right, quantum singularity drive is mentioned in this episode. Where is the Romulan from the War College in this episode?
Not there at all.
Do you think
Joel
they made...
in the chat is saying this was a quantum brand singularity drive? It's very different.
Oh, it was a trademarked. All right, okay. That's fine. But where was the Romulan? It almost feels like, you know,
it is
like,
coincidental.
It's
like,
an
hey,
experimental drive, and she'd be like, actually, they're like, shut up, you're ruining it because we can't write. And
the main problem with this episode, and it's weird that we see it happen in full force here because it hasn't really happened in the previous. Like, we've had little blips where you're like, okay, I guess that happens because the plot needs to happen. But all of this only happens because the plot. Every single thing in this episode happens because they want it to happen. It's that whole awful, like, what's his name? J.J. Abrams thing, where it's literally, oh, they've got special names for it, but I forget what it is. But it's the idea of going, oh, we need this thing to happen. So how do we have that happen? Oh, well, we need this to happen. Oh, well, but couldn't they just fix it that way? It doesn't matter. No one will think about that. And it's all about just getting bullet points that need to happen through the episode that are like action punchy things. And everything is just geared towards them. So people make decisions that they would never normally make or that make no sense purely to allow this to happen. I mean, like, why the hell was Sam hiding when they were in the command station? Like, didn't we literally have an episode where she could make herself intangible so she can't
I was
be
about to
affected by
raise
stuff?
this. I was about to raise this, yeah.
All of it, it's like going... But the most dangerous thing was the... So I'm just going to go off and reel off stuff, but it was like the Vulcan character, it's that Discovery trope of going, hey, we're finally getting some backstory about that character. I wonder if they're going to die later in the episode. Oh, they are.
Yep, there you go.
Oh, well, never mind. You know, so they didn't get fleshed out at all. Really fascinating character, gone. Don't care about, didn't get to care about them enough. The pacing was all over the shop. Like, I really despise Nusbracker as a character. Like, he's so badly done. Like,
the writing for Nusbracker is absolutely god awful, and I'm going to say it now.
You look at something like Gulda Cat, and you go, "That is how you do an arrogant sort of like person who like villain monologues.
Megalomaniacal narcissist." Yeah.
But even he doesn't get as much dialogue time as Nusbracker. And whole scenes, he literally, hey, look, get really invested in this action scene and how dangerous this is. Oh, they've got time to get Nusbracker on board and, have a drink with him. And then quietly he spends 10 minutes explaining to Aki, like, oh, how sad, and playing mind games with her. And you're like, show, don't tell. All it would have needed is one throwaway line about like, oh, like when you sacrificed your son. And we know we don't need the other 5 minutes of dialogue. It's so ham-fisted and so blunt, it's and so much like I would have preferred the action to have stayed ramped up for the whole episode rather than being up and down and spoiling itself and there's so many characters that do nothing. Literally, it's like the Carol kid from the War College just gets shot and then Jaden's like, oh yeah, I don't actually have any medical things. Yeah, nope, don't have any kind of what do they call the heals wounds and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, dermal regenerator.
Yeah, don't have a dermal regenerator. I just came on this mission with absolutely no equipment whatsoever, so I guess you're limping or lying down for the entire scene. It's like, so he doesn't actually effectively do anything. It's awful. Like, it's literally when they're getting kidnapped at the start, why doesn't Sam just beat the shit out of them all? Oh, because then the plot couldn't happen. Like, the entire episode is people not doing the things they could have done in order to allow there to be threat, rather than writing within what your characters are.
It's so egregious that they make a song and dance that Sam is permeable, but in this episode, she is constantly solid, shall we say, and she gets shot. Why does she need to duck? Why does she need to run? She is a hologram that can make herself permeable. We can see this because she sticks her hand into the computer. So why is she doing that and she's becoming permeable, but then, oh, well, she's solid for this 30 seconds where she gets shot and she nearly gets completely disassembled photonically because she decided to be solid. And surely as a hologram, you would go, this is a dangerous firefight. I will become permeable. I will not be a solid photonic being. I can become permeable. That way they can't shoot me and cause me damage. No. That part of the whole her character is flown out because we need it to show that, oh, the cadets, there's loss, there's damage, there's hurt, and there's a reason now why we all have to go after Nosbraka because everyone has been hurt and affected by this. And it's like, it annoys me that they just cherry pick everything and like certain things and then just forget the rest. And like I said, the whole quantum singularity drive, it's like, that is a huge goddamn thing. And that is what a lot of people said when season 3 Discovery said the burn ignited all the dilithium. And the first thing that everyone said was the Romulans had singularity cores, didn't need it. They could have been a dominant force in the galaxy. They could have had a massive resurgence. And so, no, we forgot about that because we need the storyline in the universe to move on. And then it's like with Sam, with that, oh, well, she's permeable, so shooting her means no, oh, she got shot in this episode.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Like Joel's saying in the chat, they only showed Sam being permeable to Calico transporter guns, which I believe were phasers, but it's the idea of going, we need an explanation about this. Like, we need a kind of what kind of abilities does she have? Like, a good writer would set up a scene where she gets hurt, where she genuinely goes, oh shit, they have guns that they have energy
or like an
weapons
emitter gets damaged.
This is the idea. It needs things to set things up rather than just being like, oh, I guess that's happening. And yes, I guess I would give it the time of day to be like, Sam is programmed to be a teenager where she would act like a teenager. So she would act frightened because that's how she's programmed to be. And I get that. But at the same time, there would be like the idea of going, hey, actually, you've got to save people's lives. You've got to sort of step up to the plate and do what you need to do. Like, it's just things happen in order to make flashy scenes happen in this, and it's such a disappointment after the wonderful, except episode 1 run of episodes. I think I just hate this whole what it feels like. Sorry, there's no structure to this review.
There is never going to be a structure to this. If you were watching this episode, you have seen this episode of Starfleet Academy, so we're not going to do a blow by blow of this. So go on.
But it's the idea of what worries me, okay, is that the first episode and this episode was the show that they wanted to do.
Yeah.
This was like what Kurtzman went, hey, this is what the show is going to be like, and he sold it to the studio on this. And then the other episodes that we've got, which are very much more Trek and very much more enjoyable, are the ones where the writers go, okay, cool, we're just going to fix this for you. We're going to actually do what people want. Like, this just feels like the same thing we get with the Kelvin movies, where they just kind of go, hey, we're not going to read up on Star Trek. And it's disappointing because the Furies, like, I've had so many people message me before I saw the episode, basically going, oh my god, they put the Furies in, who are in the comics and stuff, and they are portrayed very much like they are in the comics. So it should be an amazing, like, oh my god, they're bringing, Beta Canon together and stuff like that. And instead, it's just a miserable pile of wank. So, yeah.
Oh my god! I pressed the wrong button. But there's just so many things that I think what this is, I think episode 6 for both of us is a culmination of tiny little things that we have noticed and not been a fan of up until this point coming to a head. Because I'm going to say something and you're probably going to absolutely agree with me. The musical choices.
It's the first note I have.
God
awful music.
Damn awful. And why Why do we need a 21st century song
Yeah.
by a British person at the beginning of a Star Trek episode that refers to GPS? Why do we need this? It takes you out of the moment. You could have had fantastic orchestral music. You could have had original, futuristic music.
Futuristic music would have been great. Instead, we get something like all of the music throughout this whole series sounds horrendously dated. And maybe it's a statement they're making, like how Next Generation went like, oh, we're going to reference stuff from sort of the 1920s and stuff. And then like Voyager has Tom Paris with his obsession with Americana in the 40s and 50s and stuff like that. Maybe it's that. Maybe, in the 32nd century, we all listen to crap like early 2000s sort of electro.
But this is the thing, right? This is what the other shows did. If you are going to do it, reference it and highlight it. Tom Paris, he's obsessed with Americana. How do we know? Because he told us and he was working on cars. Picard, we had the 50s, the 40s, the 50s. Why? Because Picard was obsessed with 40s and 50s crime novellas. Most of the production crew on the Next Gen grew up on the 40s and 50s serials, novellas, and movies. So their influence is baked into that show. That is why all the way through the golden era, you had Blue Skies by Frank Sinatra in Nemesis. There you go. But with this, it's like, hey, we've got these Letterman jerseys. Right. So 1,000 years into the future, why do we have to have Letterman jerseys? All they have to say is it's a callback to Earth, Earth College or something.
Yeah.
Everything is just done, but never explained.
They need to have someone wearing one and have people being like, whoa, that's pretty retro and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I found it in like, the Replicator, like sort of just stuff like that. Like we've got to have a concept of time. We've got to be like, this would be the equivalent of someone being like, hey, I'm just going to wear these old peasant sort of rags that I saw in in a museum. And I decided to sort of make myself some, like, this is the equivalent of someone being into, not LARP, what's it called? Where they dress up medieval style.
Live action role play. LARPing.
No, it's not, Renaissance fairs
Renaissance, yeah.
However you pronounce it.
I love how you say it. So
that kind of thing. But it would be like that. But then in this one, it's like, oh no, we have no culture of our own this far forward. Everyone just has the stuff that is relevant to today. When it's being written, and you're like, no, don't do this. Like,
they could even reference and be like, hey, Starfleet Academy, we're bringing back Starfleet Academy. And they're like, well, what did the cadets when Starfleet Academy first opened, what did they wear? They could do that and be like, oh, well, we had Letterman jackets and we had this and we had that. And there's nothing. And it just seems like there's a very ham-fisted 21st century baking in music-wise, aesthetic-wise, costume-wise. And there's no like source reference for it. There's no reasoning for it. And again, this is supposed to be set in the 32nd century. This is like 1,200 years after all this. Why are they doing it? Why are they influenced by this aesthetic? Why do they? Is it because, say, that the people from Discovery came and they were like, well, we wore Letterman jackets and stuff? But do you see what they could use so much? Yeah, and this is what's annoying us, because up until this point, Starfleet Academy and what we have celebrated it for has worked on the world building and has expanded on the world building since the burn. Whereas this one, it's just like, well, we've got this ship and it's got a warp core and this, and then we've got Sam who's not this, and then we've just like there's just they seem to just disregard things that they have built in the past episodes.
I was watching
for convenience.
I was watching DS9 the other day, and it's an episode I'd really like to talk about because obviously, and it was so coincidental because I'd seen like in the promos for this episode where there's a cadet in a wheelchair or something in the background at some point, or it has been in one of the episodes.
Yeah.
And obviously, someone commented with, "Can't wait for everyone to start complaining about people in wheelchairs in
Mm.
Star Trek, and oh, why couldn't they just heal them?" And all, it's the same thing. It's the same as we were saying about the glasses, where it's the idea of going, as long as you put an explanation in and go, "Oh yeah, that's she." They don't even have lenses in. She's just a fucking weirdo who likes having glasses on or something. But but then I was watching the DS9 episode accidentally, where we have the is it Aeolian? Um where it's basically the girl who can't exist in
Yes.
high gravity, and
Yes.
obviously it's a Bashir episode, and it's all like him sort of trying to help her and her coming to grips with stuff and whatnot, and it's a really fascinating episode. But in that one, it has a reason for why she's got the wheelchair, which is
Mm.
so they're not new to Trek, they're not something thrown in because people are being woke or whatever.
I mean, the
But like
menagerie.
that episode, yeah, the menagerie. But that
Yeah.
episode, all of Pike. But that episode has just a random scene, and I didn't. It annoyed me because I was like, "What the hell is this?" But it's exactly how it should be, where they're literally having dinner at the Klingon restaurant, and then the Klingon cook, basically just starts singing a Klingon song. He literally just gets his little instrument out and he just starts singing a Klingon opera while walking around the bar. And it goes on for quite a while they're having a conversation. And he's just singing in Klingon, walking through the thing. And you're like going, it's a bit weird, but I love that they wrote a Klingon song for him to sing, because you'd probably get that in a restaurant. You would
Yeah.
probably get and you're just going, and that's all it takes. All it takes is just make something new that sounds like it's, different or a different culture or from the thing. Not that something sounds like, oh, well, this is what the kids are listening to these days kind of thing. Like it's just lazy.
It's
And everything about this episode is lazy, I
it's
think.
okay
From
to
the
make a team
research
drama.
to, yeah.
It's okay to make a team drama. We're not criticizing the fact that they're angling for a team drama, but
Yeah.
what you have to realize,
It has worked in the last couple of episodes.
you are setting a team drama 1,000 years into the future, and then without any like relevance, without reasoning, you're putting in random songs from the modern day, and it it doesn't fit, and it takes you out of that. And to immediately be removed from a moment straight as the episode starts, like the first thing people got to like, why is this song here? And you could have had orchestral, you could have had your own futuristic take on music and stuff like that, and it just annoyed me. And that it was just a downhill trajectory from there, because there was just things in this episode that I legitimately didn't care about. And you had these good characters, like the ones from the War College. You have these good characters, and I mean, is the Vulcan called Bobby?
I don't think he gets a name.
I think
don't
he's called
remember a name
Bobby.
for
I
him.
think they
Is it
put. I
Bobby?
think they
Okay.
call him Bobby, right? Which, whatever, that's fine, right? But he's a really interesting character. He reads comic, but oh, he's dead.
Yeah, and it's Discovery all
It's
over again. Of
Discovery.
Going, oh, I can't wait until we get some background on that character. Oh, we're getting a bit of background. Oh no. And then you're like, that means they die later in this episode. Because we had it with Discovery. Anyone who was Michael Burnham who started getting fleshed out was on the chopping block. And it's such a shame, because the idea of he was. We've had a lot of Vulcans through Trek, including, Badmirals and whatnot, and the what do we call him? The Hood, from Strange New
Barvey.
Worlds.
Oh, so it was Barvey. Thanks, Joel. So
Oh, Bobby.
in
Yeah,
in
but
our
we've had
poor
so many
audio,
Vulcans
it said
that are
Bobby.
dickheads throughout Trek.
Yeah,
And it was a perfect opportunity to be like, hey, cool, let's flesh this guy out and have him become give him an arc. But then we
yeah.
get this ham-fisted, everything happens very, very quickly this episode, where it's like, oh my God, he actually sees that, they kind of bury the hatchet a little bit, and oh, he gives a little bit of his background. Oh, they're working together. Oh, he's dead. And it's like, and I know there was a discussion earlier in the chat about this is the problem with 10 episode seasons, of they feel like they've got to get from A to B as quickly as possible because they've only got 10 episodes to do it. But I'd prefer them just to make B a lot less. Like, make it where he gets injured rather than killed. Like, we don't need to move mountains in the course of one series.
But again, it lends back to the credence that a show like Starfleet Academy needs a 20 episode season because it needs that chance to breathe, to develop the characters and build the world and establish itself. And it's making it glaringly obvious that 10 episodes for this type of show per season is not working and
Exactly
will
like we had this
never
Strange New
work.
World, yeah.
And you know, the negative news that we've had today, that the first 2 episodes of Starfleet Academy didn't even break into the top 10 of the Nielsen ratings, which is a first for a Star Trek show on streaming. Nielsen, I mean, he's an absolute television slut from what I've heard. But
he's a telly slut.
He's a telly slut.
That sounds like a Star Trek race. I think, you know. Oh no, it's the telly sluts.
Tinky Winky.
Hide your transmitter.
Ooh, dipsy. But it you know, but it's what it is. Stuff like that is giving ammunition to the haters, shall we say, of Starfleet Academy. To go, it's always crap. It's always crap. And it's like, it's making it harder to convince people that the show is actually quite good. Like it works really hard. But then you see this episode and you're like, you've built up all this goodwill over 5 episodes, and then what you've done with this episode, you sort of just like thrown it against the wall, and it's like, how are you going to come back from this? But again, our opinion is subjective, and we have seen people online go, this is a brilliant episode, this sets it up for the rest of the season and stuff. But for our opinion, it just was not good, and the pacing was so bad in this episode. It was like, if you were going to do an episode like this, like you said earlier on, right, if it's like a hostage situation, keep the tension, keep ramping up the tension, keep the pace at a constant running speed. What we were getting here is, they board the ship, they're taken hostage, oh my god, what do we need to do? Oh, well, we need to get Nosraka, we need to do, and we'll have 10 minutes of quiet dialogue between Nosraka and Archie, and then we'll have do this again, and then we'll have more quiet. And it was throttle break, and it was just
they tried to make stuff that isn't exciting more action packed. Like, it literally has where they're trying to scan the space debris to find the hidden, like, you know, the cloaked ship, and then they're making it like, oh my god, we need to do this and you can do it, and then she's like, oh, I can't do it, you know, practically that kind of thing. And it's like, that should be a scan. That should literally be them looking at the keyboard, being like, and obviously you've got like what's her name? The Klingon,
Laura
Thok, like, being useless. And it's such a shame, because we got a lovely insight into a character in the Klingon episode, where we kind of went, oh, okay, maybe I don't hate her that much. Actually, maybe they're going to start using this character properly. And then she wasn't in last episode at all. And then in this one, she's utterly useless. Like, she doesn't need to be there. She's like, you know, like, yeah, she literally is just on the bridge being like, I think you can do it. Go on, you can, you know, and you're just like, why are you here? Like, it's just,
this shouldn't be.
They're still doing, like, the instructors, like, because obviously it starts off as a big test.
Thank you. Yeah, I know exactly what you're going to say. Go on.
Yeah, it starts off as a big test where it's like, hey, testing the students and whatnot, and then none of the commanders step in. So the whole episode, they keep the cadets being the ones doing the scanning and doing all of the stuff for them, rather than, okay, cadet, out the way. Laura Thok's going to use the console, and she knows exactly what to do. Why is she still standing there instructing people what to do in a crisis situation? I mean, I genuinely believed that it was actually all going to be a trick. Like, it was literally, that was the exam. That would have been incredible if they'd had it where they go, hey, cool, we're going to go on the exam, you're going to go on this ship, and you've got to get the power on, you've got to do this and stuff like that. And then, oh my god, you're being attacked by this, like, this other race, and it's all crisis and stuff, you need to do this. And then at the end, it's actually a twist, and it's like, no, that's actually the exam. The whole exam is to make you think that it's gone horribly wrong. But then it doesn't. But then they don't step in and kind of just get the kids off the consoles.
It could have been.
Crew just vanish. It's so weird.
This could have been, right, the Kobayashi Maru. This could have been the Kobayashi Maru. But look at this episode, look at what happened in this episode, and then compare it to the Wrath of Khan, right? When shit hit the fan in the Wrath of Khan, did Kirk go, okay, trainees, stay at your stations, what would we do now that Regular One and everyone's been murdered? The bridge officer, all the senior bridge officers, the experienced officers, where are they? Why have you still got cadets on the bridge? It made no sense, but it leads on to the fact that what we have seen in some modern Star Trek episodes is that there is a degree of incompetence going on when it comes to the Starfleet officers. There is a certain degree of incompetence, and this is what we see here. I want to touch on what Jason just said there. I don't think they have built up goodwill. Every episode seems to be a huge tonal shift. Last week was all bright and colours and glitter, and this week was doom and gloom. What I mean is by they built up the goodwill is they've built the world, and they've done it. I mean, they've done it with different things, but this one was just so all over the place, and they were just cherry picking key elements of the plot of Starfleet Academy to suit their own needs. And again, I'll go back to it, Sam. Like that was just so cherry picked and so obviously like done. That it was designed for shock value. Yeah, and
because surely she could have just done a surprise attack on them while they're in the corridor, before they have a chance to get their energy weapons out, and just taken them out, kind of thing. And no, and then we get this like daddy sort of like guy who annoyingly wasn't introduced as a team leader. So obviously the beginning of the episode we have it where we have that team and they're being led by this like daddy bloke. And I'm like, is he just a really old cadet? Did he just get held back at the War College for like 10 years or something? Because it doesn't explain that he's like he's not dressed any differently. He doesn't have.
We just never see him.
Have he doesn't have pips or anything. Like
no.
So this idea of just being okay, right? They're just dressed however they're dressed, and it feels a bit weird. And then he just dies, and he's just going like, oh, well. And yes, that's kind of cool because it's the red shirt kind of thing. And we're used to that from Trek of going, hey, never seen this guy before. I wonder if he's going to die. But in the context of the episode, it just didn't really work.
But what you have to also remember as well is the red shirt issue sort of evolved and disappeared more or less as Star Trek grew up. Like, that was the running joke with the original series. Oh, the red shirt of the week, they're the ones who are going to get zapped and vaporized. Whereas
it's
this
lazy writing.
It's like, very lazy.
We love Star Trek. We love original series, but yes, it's lazy writing to be like, someone needs to die, but it can't be one of the main cast. So we didn't think about this previously, like when we get to DS9 and stuff where they go, we're going to introduce a character and have them in the background a couple of episodes beforehand so that when they do die,
it adds to the shock value
last week. Rather than original series, which was just like,
he would have been, but he would have been brilliant. Like we obviously have Lura Thok as the cadet
could
master.
Have died. Just putting it out there.
But we have Lura Thok as the cadet master, so naturally it would make sense that the War College had a similar type of rank, and he could have been that, and he could have been in 2 or 3 episodes prior. There could have been this rivalry, and then it lends more credence to the fact, oh well, we've got a bet on, and we're going to do that. Bang, got, and then it's like, oh my god, like someone that we have seen for the last they've been shot and then they've been fired out. But this, like you said, it just it leans into the Discovery formula where it's just like, oh yes, everybody knows this person, you just never seen him because he's just never been. Oh, he's dead. Yes, he's dead. Don't you feel awful for him? Oh, it's awful. It's awful.
I can't actually read your name, person in the chat, because it's backwards. But mentioning Tasha Yar, what is please post what your name is. I have no idea how to revert you. But mentioning Tasha Yar, and that is obviously a surprise death, but that was more like she asked to be wrote out rather than, rather than actually them intending it.
Denise Crosby wanted a bigger role, and Berman was like, no. And she got written out. Famously, with Denise Crosby, her last shooting day, Berman came up to her, took the comm badge off her chest and went, you won't be needing this anymore. which is sort of like people. Berman can be quite a
Bit of
bit
a
of a
dick.
dick.
He's fully a dick.
But
And
again,
I'm
with
very glad for what he gave us and what the work that
yeah,
he's done, but absolute twat.
absolute twat. But again, comparing, when you look at Tasha Yar, she had half a season to build up a reputation, and she's still loved, and she's
It
still
meant
recognized.
something. It
Yeah,
meant something.
doing stuff like this, which is what they did in Discovery, it does, and they did. This started with the Kurtzman era with Star Trek '09 when we had that engineer Olsen, when they were shooting down to the Romulan thing. He's like, I'm gonna kick some Romulan ass, and you're like, yes lad, we've got a northern heritage. Oh, he's dead. But that's the type of thing, and it's like it doesn't have the weight that you think it is. And you like Section 31 where we had the Delta and everyone's like, this Delta is brilliant, I can't wait to she's dead.
You've reopened that wound. I'm still
Yeah,
pissed
but
off.
again, it's
They
the
had
same
one
thing.
good character in the whole movie, and she's
They
dead in the
killed
first
her.
5 minutes.
But it and like I said, there's just so many ways that like if like the cadets could have done and dealt with things logically, and they said that there's escape pods. Is there escape pods? We don't know. Couldn't Sam become permeable and go down to engineering? We don't know. Why does it take the ship 5 million hours to locate
scan a comic
Engineer?
book. To scan a comic book.
Oh my God.
The guy gets the Bobby, is it? I don't know but it doesn't matter anymore.
Barvey.
Barvey basically goes, oh yeah, I can just flip this file into the computer. But for some reason, I mean, we're probably getting there with how crap Windows 11 is and how AI is ruining software now. But I don't think even in 1,000 years it's going to be so bad that it takes a computer like 10 minutes to read a comic book. It's the idea of it. It should be the idea of, oh, immediately. But it happens because the plot needs to happen. It happens because they don't know how to create tension otherwise. And it's just awful. And it's this whole like, oh wait, like the problem is, like we've had in some other episodes, and like we had with season 3 of Strange New Worlds, things happen because it goes, this scene needs to be tense. And rather than looking for an actual clever way that it could be tense, it just decides to stretch something out and make something happen the way it wouldn't actually happen, purely to make a bit of tension. And you're going, no, I mean, everything like that. They have weapons that can go through force fields, which, okay, that's plausible, but also I just the whole thing, like Nusbracker, like everything about this episode is awful.
This is no disrespect to Paul Giamatti. He is a fantastic actor. We have got nothing against him.
I don't think he is in this. I'm willing to say I'm a big fan of him in other stuff.
Yeah.
But I kind of genuinely like, maybe, can we recast? Can we?
The writing is so bad.
Wait, the writing is so bad. But when you look at it, like when we're talking about people like Guldakat and we're talking about like Mark Alimo, I think he would like he owns these scenes. He has this gravitas to own the scenes. Whereas Nusbracker, like maybe Paul Giamatti's in like between a rock and a hard place of going, okay, so your character is a sniveling coward who has no actual power whatsoever and can't just grab Aki. Why the hell does he not physically threaten her? Like if he
why
wants
is
to be
there
an
no
evil
security?
Villain, yeah, like there's no security. He's absolutely hands off with her the whole time, and you just kind of like, and yes, it's meant to be Trek, but at the same time, it's totally. He's just like, oh, I'm going to play mind games with you and try and wind you up. And then she gets back at him and starts like, insulting him and whatnot. And he just backs off. He's just like, oh, 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 oh. And he's just like, what is this character? Like, is he, and I know he's meant to be a sniveling rat, okay? His whole character is he's an absolute sniveling rat. All of the stuff that he does is behind the scenes. So the whole episode is a setup for a plan he has in order to steal Starfleet technology. And it's all like a big, trap. That's great. That is absolutely great. But then all of the monologuing means nothing. It could have been done far better in fewer words kind of thing. He has no presence when he's in the room with Aki. He's just... It feels like anyone could just knock him out. And that doesn't... Gulda Cat... Can you imagine if, like, Cisco threw a punch? It would be dramatic, but it wouldn't stop Gulder Cat, and that's why no one does it. But I don't know.
It
But I just hate him as a character. He's
you
just an
can't
ineffectual villain.
you can't have a big bad and not make him and make him completely not intimidating
Yeah.
and not threatening. And the fact
He
that
is
he's
played like a
alone,
second in command.
he is
Played
alone.
like sort of, Wayoon maybe. Like
Yeah,
I adore Wayoon, but the idea of obviously he is the one to go up, let's just step away from this and let's escape out the room or whatever, like in cowardly or whatever. It's yeah, he is. He's that's it. He is a henchman. Like the way he's being played and the way he's written is a henchman, not a villain.
recommendations that I can't see in what world he is a half Klingon and half Tellarite, and I agree. But we might be wrong, and he might not be the big baddie. It could be Keiko
Yeah.
O'Brien who's in charge or something like that. But
it is. We know that, but whether they're going to mention it in the episode.
you can't. When he boards the Athena, and you've got Kelrek and security holding, pew pews, shall we say, at the dock, and then it's like, oh, he's a threatening character because we've had to. Aim at him just in case. But it's absolutely fine that he can be unattended in the Chancellor's office with just the Chancellor and no weapons of defence at all.
Actually, I've got to leave and go to the bridge. I'll just leave you alone. There we go. Like, it's genuinely just like, and I was like, oh, maybe
It's
he's a
insane.
hologram, and maybe that's why he's not able to do anything. And then no, it's just. She just ups and leaves him, and I don't know. He's a if it was something where he was played in a way to be so wormy and so crap that everyone underestimates him. If
Yeah.
it was the idea of, oh, he's a sniveling rat and everyone just laughs at him because he'll run away from everything and cowardly, but actually he's a mastermind who's pulling all these strings. If he came across that way, that would work. But he doesn't. It's like he's being played as, oh, he is threatening, he is frightening, people are scared of him. And it's at odds with itself. And
It like a villain like him being able to outwit Starfleet just proves how incompetent the officers really are. Like, if you put him up against Picard, you put him up against Kirk, Cisco, Janeway, he would be completely neutered within a heartbeat. But in this context, in this era, it. Like, there, straight away. Just wait till episode 7 where we see he planted multiple bombs all over the ship. He probably has, because they just left him unattended for 30 goddamn minutes as they dealt with another crisis. And it's like, right, one of the things he says is, you do not leave this chair until I tell you to. Aki is called to the bridge. She leaves. He does nothing. She leaves him unattended in her quarters. He does nothing. There's no security. There's no one watching him. He could have a weapon. We don't know anything. And it is so stupidly incompetent to do that, to leave your main antagonist there. And he might, probably right. We're probably going to see, he planted something in the Athena and he's been able to monitor communications because he did this, because Aki was incompetent enough to leave him in his quarters next to a computer where he downloaded the information. I mean, it shows that he was able to, cultivate this ruse and then ram raid the most highly top secret space station with experimental weapons that was protected by one tiny ship in the Federation. And you were going, are you did the burn new to your brain cells?
But the worst thing that annoyed me the most is, what are his motivation? So obviously if you've got this far and you haven't seen the episode, well done. But it's more the idea of, so the plot is they get him on board. Aki doesn't want them to, but Daddy Admiral, is it Dad? No, what do we call him? Dadmiral.
Dadmiral.
Yeah, Dadmiral. Dadmiral like goes, no, he's the only one who's ever defeated these the Furies and stuff, and he
Yeah,
knows some secret that'll defeat them. So we'll get him in. But luckily, he just pops around the corner in a matter of minutes, uh, because yeah, because time doesn't mean anything in terms
yeah,
of this. But Star Trek's always guilty of that, though. But yeah, they get him on board, and then they have all this thing, and then they go, hey, cool, we'll go and speak to the head of Starfleet. We'll get your demands like authorized and stuff. Cool, okay, we're going to give you your demands. Tell us what defeats this. And he goes, oh, and then passes on the information that sonic weapons are really, really dangerous against them. So that if you use sonic technology, you can like
yeah,
destroy them. Now, obviously, in any other Star Trek show, they would pass that on to everyone aboard the other ship, the Miyazaki, and go, hey, you just need to tweak all of the stuff so it sets out like a sonic pulse or whatever across the ship and rewire it and stuff. And that's what Caleb does. That's what the team does. That would be a Star Trek plot.
yeah,
Okay. And then they kill them all off. But the fact is, it all happens because they go, oh, the only ship that has sonic weaponry is this experimental thing that's at this base that's conveniently nearby. And then it comes out and then it does that. That is his plan. He knows
yeah,
that if he says, hey, sonic weapons, he knows that there's a ship there with it, don't know how, and that they'll send that out. And for some reason, that's the only ship or the only defense that the space station has. They'll send it out, and then while they're distracted, his raiders can attack that space station. That makes sense as a plot. I can
yeah,
understand someone going, that's a great plot for an episode, but it's very empty. It's very weak. It's very sort of basic as a plot. But the issue is, if he's evil, wouldn't he have just lied? Wouldn't he have just said, yeah, sonic weapons, yeah, get that ship that's from there, that'll come over, and then actually it comes over and uses anything, and Sonic doesn't do anything because he wants
yeah,
Aki to die. Because he
yeah.
wants them all to die. Why does he actually help them and tell them exactly how to defeat this enemy who he is allied with? It doesn't make any sense. I
It
don't. Ugh.
it could have even linked back to the first episode
Also,
because what.
sonic pulse traveling in space. Okay, right there. Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh, we are very used to people screaming in the 32nd
No,
century to resolve issues, but like they could have linked it back to the first episode where he's like, I'm here to steal your warp core because it'll make a function. He could have been like, I'm here because the Miyazaki's got an experimental quantum singularity drive, and you're trading dilithium to this planet, and it is hampering my profits. If you stop selling dilithium, I'll help you with the Furies. And then the twist is he then takes the Miyazaki, replicates the technology, and he's like, you don't have dilithium, but I do have another means of travel which you can use, and I have the technology and the rights to do it, blah 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 blah. And they just do nothing with it. And
his whole plan centers around something that we don't know about.
yeah,
So we only find out that this space station exists and is a treasure trove of Starfleet technology, like the at like 80% through the episode. And that's a problem for me. It's the whole Chekhov's gun thing. You're meant to
yeah,
kind of go, hey, here's all of the things in play. This is what this surrounds. So it should have been that he wanted something to do with the Miyazaki. Like,
yeah.
actually, does the singularity drive do anything? Like what
So they
I can't
power it up, and then they beam
does
away,
it,
and then they just leave it.
that's it.
That's
They
it.
just
That's it. So in
so they
order
don't
to
like use it to escape or anything. They just go, hey, we
no,
got
the
power
ship
online
just
and we can
the ship
teleport.
just
Yeah.
stays there. The ship, and this is the thing, and again, it's a fantastic bit of technology that could be. They just leave it there, and you're like,
Well, yeah, you know what? Actually, this is something that annoys
they
me.
could
And
have
I know,
created a black hole.
yeah,
That's the whole.
they could have gone.
When
Hey,
a
we've sucked
Romulan
the
ship,
whole, like,
when a Romulan ship explodes, it creates a black hole because it is a singularity, and it could have been like, hey, if we don't do this, we'll detonate the ship, and all your cadets will die, but we'll also have a black hole that could endanger the systems in the area or something like.
and that's the
We
call.
get
That's
no-
the whole.
Yeah.
Is Aki willing to sacrifice, like, some potentially people, or is she going to do this thing that's going to make it really dangerous and destroy all this technology?
Linking back to her son. or it could be
Did
like
that get mentioned? I can't remember an episode. I've kind of blanked episode 1 out of my mind because it was so bad.
all
but...
she said was that her son died in the burn, that he was on a training
Right,
ship,
okay.
and yeah. But again,
And now it's turned around and said, "Oh, actually, you sacrificed him, or you let him die." Or
but again, my other problem is like, all right, this ship has been a training exercise for many years. All right, so you have left a derelict starship with a quantum singularity drive, aka
undefended,
aka a goddamn black hole machine, undefended, so anyone can board, steal the ship, detonate it, aim it at a planet. Again leads to my point that Starfleet is
you've got
incompetent.
a training exercise and there's no defense whatsoever. So there's no one defending this piece of Star Trek, like Starfleet technology.
Yeah.
There's not like ships within like 5 minutes that like pop in if something goes wrong or whatever. That's it. It's literally just like, oh well, yeah, the Athena's gonna protect everyone, and it's just like,
I'm just reading what recommendations. I think turning it on is just part of the training program. It causes a system failed cascade, so it didn't work as a ship, but they repurposed it for training.
Oh no, that's it. But it's the idea of that technology's there. They would have done something with it. So the idea of
they could strip
it. To
it.
be fair, I kind of hate the whole it being used for a training thing because, for instance, okay, if you're doing a training exercise, you need to keep all of the parameters the same for everyone. Because the whole episode centers around one team of about 5 people going over there. There are fuck tons more students. There are it's the idea of only 7 people are involved in this one exam. So I'm assuming that with hundreds of students, they would be doing this exam like 12 times that day and then 12 times the day after. And they'd have like 60 minutes. So they would surely have an environment where they can reset it and go, hey, cool, let's reset it and see how well you fare, rather than, well, can you get it working? Oh, we've just left it how the last team left it. Oh, yeah, one of the teams got halfway through putting some new tech in and stuff, but then we, stopped the timer and kicked them out. But we just left it there, so it's half done. Like, is it that they're meant to deal with, like, what happens when they power it up? So Caleb's team basically gets on, nothing, they don't get attacked by anyone. They get the drive set on board. They change loads of other stuff, and then the next team are like, oh, well, it's working now. Do they have to get a team in to go and fuck things up again, or like to fuck the computer up again? Like, it doesn't make any sense why a war college with all of its resources would just. It just seems really weird. It's literally like going, hey, we've got a top of the range school. We've just finished building this amazing school, okay? But our only climbing frame is covered in barbed wire and has killed 5 kids. And you're just like, should we build a new one? Nah.
I love this comment. All of the previous attempts to repair the ship's computer failed. They had the wrong comic book.
yeah. I mean, the thing is that you know what I hate? I hate that out of all of the things we can complain about in this episode, we're not even touching on the comic book training a computer thing. Like, it's bad. Like, I don't like it. But it's so far down the list of terrible things in this episode that we're not even bothering with it.
I think, and I'm going to be saying, this episode has exhausted me. Like, I have become.
You were already exhausted.
I was already exhausted, but watching this episode made me tired because my brain was overexerting itself trying to make things make sense, that I've actually mentally drained myself. So as soon as I've finished this episode, I've come on here and I'm just like, what is the day? How can milk? What is Tuesday? And like, because a load of it, and like I said, the comic book, why, right, so what, Tales from the Frontier, why are they wearing original series uniforms if it's about the adventures of the Miyazaki? Why are they all, why does it take so long to scan one singular page? This is the 32nd century. Scanning technology apparently hasn't advanced past canon technology. Yeah.
put like a believable problem in of like the idea of they get the comic book, they immediately scan it in, and then they need to do some kind of thing where they trick it into going, hey, that comic book is real. You need to take the scenario from that and believe that it was real in order to trick, like how people trick AI into telling them forbidden stuff. Where, you know, like
Yeah.
the idea of what was it when people were talking about making things that they shouldn't be able to make or whatever, and they were like, oh, if you trick it into like explain how to do this like my grandmother would or something like that. You know, like they've got rid of it now, but if they've made it where that was the challenge was Sam trying to work out how to trick this computer into believing this falsehood in order to give them admin controls to the ship. That would have been far more Star Trek than, oh, it's just running on Windows 12, you know, like
Or the other way, you know, Barvey could be like, you know, this comic episode of Tales of the Frontier, you know, the crew died or something like that, and they could then interact with the computer, and the computer's like, it's trying to find its crew, it's trying to see if its crew's all right, and then
yeah.
they learn from the comic book that
Show it the later
they
logs.
or they can trick the computer to believe that they are the crew or something
Yeah.
like that. It could be more Star Trek where it's like, well, you know, I can't locate the captain, I can't locate this, and then they're like,
And then you could have a threat later where
yeah,
something happens or someone breaks character or does something that makes the computer go like, hang on, you're not Captain such and such. It's all
there
locked
you
down.
go.
That
Yeah,
is how you would make a better episode out of it. You would go like, hey, they do this thing, it gets them out of the immediate situation, but then has repercussions later on in the episode. And I shouldn't be having to say how to write, you know, like because I don't write episodes. But yeah, obviously, what are we saying? Yeah, recommendations is can we circle back to comic and Caleb calling it Federation propaganda to trick people into working for them? It is really strange though. It's like yes, but you are in Starfleet now. Like it's the idea of like the War College is full like all of them saying, okay, this is what annoys me about this episode. Neither of us are talking about deeper things.
no,
None of us have taken bits of this plot and gone, hey, here's a social commentary we can talk about. Hey, here's something that we can take from this and apply to our lives. Like we've had in the previous ones, where we've had, like, what is culture? What is society and stuff? What is like this? What is the purpose of being and stuff like we got in the last one? There's nothing that deep in this one. And what we touch on is we touch on this propaganda idea in just one tiny conversation with all the nonsense, pointless dialogue it has from Nusbracker. And then the most important thing is probably this, where Caleb refers to the comic as propaganda, but then the people from the War College go, but that's why I joined Starfleet.
yeah,
I joined that. And there's so many parallels we can make there between like sort of people who joined the army because they want to defend their country, even if it is nonsense or like they're invading another country and it was propaganda that tricked them into doing it. But yeah, it is. It's weirdly inconsistent that Caleb's like, yes, but you're still working for the same people that you're saying it's propaganda for. Like, if it was a case of, hey, that Starfleet war was unjustified and the comics were propaganda to trick people into joining it, that's a whole discussion you could have. But he's on the same side as the War College. They're just doing things. It doesn't make any sense, but that should have been the biggest discussion in the whole episode. But it's just a throwaway bit of dialogue.
it's exhausting. It is
Yeah.
so it like I said, this episode mentally drained me because I just it tired me so much because I was like, why is this? Why are they doing this? Why couldn't have this been done like this? Why is it like this? How has he done this?
It's just
And
like the first episode. That's why I looked for who wrote it. I was like, was it directed and written by the people who did the first one, and that they're just really bad at their jobs. But then like it's not, it's totally different. It doesn't have the same director, it's a totally different writer who doesn't seem to have been involved in the other episodes. So it's just yeah, it's weird, but it feels like this episode, the first episode, and sadly, obviously, whatever the last episode of the series is going to be the same as this. Because this is the skeleton of the show they wanted, and that the episodes that have actually been good were the filler episodes to them, I think.
it just it frustrated me because we have had such good discussions based on the topics that we have seen in Starfleet Academy. You know, the Betazoids being isolationists, Sam, you know, discovering humanity for herself and learning
In a
what it
different
is
way to the
in a
Dominion,
yeah,
like
what it is to
positively
be
learning what it is to be human.
what it is to be an emissary. You know, Tamira dealing with her, you know, her restrictions as the Betazoid, you know, and having the inhibitor on there and stuff like that. Or, you know, we could go on about how Caleb programmed the holograms to basically self-destruct themselves. What effect could that have on Sam's race and stuff? And
Yeah.
with this one, there's no deep philosophical discussion that we can have. There's no social
There's no Trek in
commentary.
it.
There is no Trek. It is mindless action, plot devices for plot convenience, and it sort of just disregards
Badly
what
written sort of
Yeah.
panto villains.
it just disregards what it has built up over the last 5 episodes, and sort of just it's like the writer or the writers forgot the last four or 5 episodes.
Yeah,
And
it feels like they were in a different room. It's like,
yeah,
you know in Far Beyond the Stars, where it's got all the comic book people, you know, and it kind of has how they write the comic book, where the guy comes in with his artwork and goes, "Hey, I've done this drawing," and then one of them goes, "Oh, I can think of a plot for that and stuff," and then they start
yeah,
writing it. And the whole point of that is meant to be lots of disconnected stories where doing it that way, and that's what it feels like for this. It feels like they had a room full of writers and they were like, okay, so you've got the Betazoid episode, okay, you've got the DS9 episode, you've got the Klingon episode, what are you going to do with it? And they didn't talk to you know, some of them talked to each other and exchanged ideas, but then whoever did first episode and whoever did this episode just stepped away from the group, didn't look at what they were going to be doing or how they were going to develop the characters or anything like that, and then just because
it
literally
it
all this has in it is stuff that was from episode one. You could literally go episode one, this one, and then I'm betting the final episode, and go, there you go. That they work together. They don't need any of the parts from the other episodes.
it feels it feels like that this was the episode where they were like, okay, we have had our standalone episodes, we have had our episodes of the week, we need the overarching plot to start moving on, and the way we do this is this. And it was so
An
weakly
academy
done
would be so much better without this overall.
without it. Yeah,
I don't
because
care about Aki's background with the Nusbracker. I don't care about Caleb's problems with his like losing his mum and stuff like that. That is the weakest part of the whole series. I don't care. Like, give me more
it's
of
not
Sam and the
needed.
Doctor and
It's just not needed. And now it just I worry that they're going to take the season and the rest of the episodes is going to be, we are on a manhunt for Nosbraka, and we're not going to have the type of deep philosophical episodes, of trekking,
like
discussing the topics of the episode. I can't get.
what I
I'm
want from the
so
next
drained
episode.
from this episode. I
What I
can't
want-
formulate.
I want them just to forget this episode, and the problem is, okay, I want the next episode them to be like, oh yeah, Tarima's in a coma because we pulled her implant out. I don't know why she did that, but she didn't really help the situation at all. Like while she was there.
did.
Anyway.
She did. She screamed everyone to death.
What was that? Her?
That was her.
Oh, I thought
Tamira.
it was Sorry,
no,
literally, I think I zoned
Tamira.
out because I got so bored.
This was one of my other bigger issues of this. Right, Tamira ripped out the inhibitor. Okay, the reason why she had that inhibitor was that she got angry with her father and essentially made him deaf. Okay. So she had this link with Caleb that we see at the beginning of the episode with the really crappy music. And then to save them, what she did, she ripped out the inhibitor, created a psychic link, and then I don't know how, but telepathically screamed the Fury to death.
Caleb.
I think so. This is the issue I
Oh,
have.
literally, I didn't understand it, and I assumed that the ship with the sonic weapon had just actually kicked into gear and
No,
blown them up. I didn't understand it at
this
all.
is what I
I
don't
was
get.
watching it, but it didn't. Yeah, okay.
This is. I might have to rewatch this.
So she can just manifest waves of sound on a different ship where
Through
she isn't
space.
through space. Okay, it's.
But again,
It's a bit beyond.
it's the burn.
You know, like,
it's the burn again because the dude screamed on a dilithium planet, and that scream carried on throughout the galaxy, causing a cascade destructive effect.
But she did one which only specifically affected certain people within a room, and she was able to control it to stop it affecting Caleb or anyone else in that room.
Yeah. Right,
And it was
guys,
all
you can comment.
that
You can
only
comment
affected- Yeah.
and tell us in the chat if
And
we are
missed
wrong.
something.
Because
I don't understand what's going on.
I watched it an hour ago, and as what I took from it was she screamed them to death telepathically.
Yeah.
That's what I took from it.
Maybe if they'd done something where she does it through Caleb and she actually ends up breaking
Or
his
through the
sort of voice
speakers or something. Yeah.
Something. If she'd done it where she was able to possess Caleb and then scream through him, and it kind of like broke his voice box, and then the end of the episode is them going, "Hey, can we get her out of the coma, and can we like actually fix him so he can speak again?" But then he basically has a couple of episodes where he can't talk or something. Like, I don't know, something, but all I want is for the next episode to forget that this episode happened. But then that's even worse if they just go, "Oh, Tarima's fine. Oh, Sam's fine. Oh, Caleb doesn't have any more stuff doing. Oh, Aki's not bothered by stuff." Like, the problem is this episode has such repercussions that we didn't want for the rest of the series.
The only thing I want to see, right? The only thing I want to see from this episode is that cadet that saw the frozen body on the view screen and then went into shock. I want to see her confront Lurathok and go, "I can't be part of this. I can't deal with this." I want to see that side of the academy where it's like, "Hey, this place isn't for everybody. You need to have a certain type of will to be part of Starfleet. And if you don't have it, that's fine, but it will not be a place for you." And this is what because she was in episode 1, she was the one screaming red alert. And then this one, she's going panicking, and Lurathok is just like, "Take her to med bay."
Yeah.
We need a scene with her where it's like she's deeply traumatized by the things that have happened and she cannot get over them. And it's like she's developing PTSD. And we see...
There is a wonderful plot you could do with that, but they're not going to go there. Or at least, if the writing wasn't perfect, it would be the most awful bit of television in the entire world. And obviously what I'm talking about is Full Metal Jacket. You know, if they go with full seriousness, no joke, full seriousness, if they did that and they had it where she offed herself in a later episode simply because of the pressure of going, "Oh, I can't actually handle this, but I can't talk to anyone," because apparently the counselor is the doctor, which I can't think of. Like, surely there are better members of staff than the doctor. And Lurathok, who is literally, I think a light that blinks on and off every 5 seconds is more useful to the ship than Lurathok, because she seems to constantly just be there being like, "You can do it," and you're like, I could get a Tickle Me Elmo to give me better advice.
Could you imagine the debriefing after this mission at Starfleet, right? Where they're going, "Right, okay, so you had a hostage situation on this ship. What did you do?" I let the cadets do the scanning, do all the problem solving, and I just sat there and went, "Good job." And they would look at you and go, "Right, you are fired straight away for gross misconduct and, you know, court-martialed or whatever." And it just, but, oh God, it hurts me. This episode has genuinely hurt me. And I think we were pleasantly surprised by Starfleet Academy. You know, the first episode was weak, but we have been pleasantly surprised by Starfleet Academy, and this one has just taken it and drove it into a brick wall. And I don't know where they are going to go from this, and that's what I'm worried about.
Well, I'm disappointed because obviously we got this in Strange New World season 3, where we got some good episodes, but then we got to the middle of the series and it went, "Hey, here's the bigger plot," and then it kind of got a bit crap. Like as
Yeah.
soon, and then they brought in a wider plot, like with the whole, oh, the guy who gets possessed, he loses his eyes and stuff, but then he's fine. And then as soon as they brought that in, the whole series just went nosedived, and you're like going, "Oh crap!"
It turned
You've
into a
got this
Doctor Who
overarching plot.
epic.
Yeah, you've got this overarching plot that you think is great, but is actually ruining the series. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm just, and there's a very good point there by Mojo Jojo. Thank you for telling me how to say your name. But yeah, the why did the Furies throw a perfectly good meal into space and just ate his leg? Yeah, why? They're like, hey, aren't there other ways they could signal stuff? Like, or give a signal to
Send a
couldn't they,
message.
maybe yeah, couldn't they throw his leg out there maybe or something? But it does seem odd that a race of cannibals whose entire motivation for this whole episode is to get meat to eat and cause chaos end up just throwing actual food away.
Jason has just hit the nail on the head. The cadets make a lot of stupid mistakes throughout the series, but it's okay because they're kids. But why are the grown-ups all so terrible and childlike?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Lurathok is genuinely useless. Like, and all of the competent people, like the doctor doesn't do anything in this episode. He's there, and we know for a fact that he'd be able to help in various situations in this. And we just see him in random corridors being like, oh, go do the thing. Like, take the controls off the cadets when it becomes an emergency.
Or like, if we can't, if we, because Dadmel's like,
Or
I've
give
got
a reason why they can't get involved.
But the Admiral's like, I've got 5 capital ships a light year away. And it's like, yes, but you can't get them there because they've said no ships within a light year. Okay, so why don't they do a covert boarding operation and fight these guys head on? Why can't Lurathok, a distinguished cadet master and warrior of the Klingon Empire, lead the charge to board this ship and save the hostages? Why would you have one singular plan to rescue the hostages and not have plan B, plan C, plan D, like most hostage things do?
But they genuinely go like, okay, so Terima psychically mind melds and goes, hey, I've done that. I can see that they're held up in the actual bridge or whatever, and be like, oh, cool. So they're not actually there with like guns directly at their head, kind of thing. Cool. We'll teleport fucking Lurathok over there, and she'll beat the shit out of them, and we'll get a scene where we get to see this character doing what she's meant to actually be doing, rather than being like, I'm really buff, but I fail in every physical situation I've been in this entire series, and you're like.
But there's so many other things, like the bridge modules detach. This is a well-established thing. Right, they're going to find another way. Well, when they find another way, the one singular door to the bridge, because apparently we're in the original series at the moment, one singular entrance to the bridge. Okay, so how do we get out of here? Right, well, we can't do the escape pods. There's no escape pods. Okay, but the bridge detaches. It's like an escape craft of its own. Well, could we work on doing that? No, we'll just wait. And then we'll do the engineering, and that's going to take a while, and it has to scan a comic book, and then it has to. Is this thing powered by Windows 95? Because I have never known a Starship computer not know where its engineering section is. And it's crazy. It is crazy. And the fact that Caleb is arguing, like, do it now. And it's like,
the computer doesn't care about that.
And it's just like there's so many things that they could have done. Lurathok going, we could have had a fantastic return of Lurathok as this Klingon warrior, and you're like, well, they'll detect weapons.
Fucking teleport over
with a
there,
batleth or something.
Over. Yeah. Beat the fucking shit out of everyone. Like, that would have been rewarding. It would have built her character. It would have saved her character. Because, like I say, she's meant to be this, and yet none of the writing is pointing towards that. It's like having someone celebrated as this great hero, and yet all she's done is either get hurt and need other people to help her, shy away from battle, or end up just not helping people when she needs to.
There
or just
should
stand
have
there
been
like, I could do this for you, but I'll just stand over your shoulder and be like, good job.
Experienced captains should be like, right, we have got this situation. Let's have a multi a multi-pronged attack to this situation. We'll have the cadets tracing the ship using scanning technology for the cloaked ship. Lurathok could lead a covert stealth mission. They could have done something where they jettison her out in a spacesuit and they mask a signature.
A reason why they can't do that. At least,
thank you.
At least
have a meeting.
Have a bit of saying, hey, we're going to do that, but actually, they threatened that they'll just blow up the whole ship because they don't care about their lives because they're crazy cannibals. So they've got a bomb, and if they say that if we try and board the ship, kind of thing, they'll set it off and do this, something like that. Just
this is
make
what
us
the
think
next.
that you thought about the plot rather than
This is what the next generation would do. You would have this type of situation, and the first thing they would do, they would get together and go, what are our options?
Yeah.
And the options would be delivered, and each one would be considered and disregarded if there was a factor that it wasn't possible to do.
Oh, how about we go over their guns blazing? We can't do that because then they'll blow up.
Even Strange New Worlds has that.
Yeah.
Strange New Worlds has that, whereas this, it's like, nope, we're going to put all our chips on this one singular plan, and this is it, because we can't do anything else, because we can't. And it's like you are on a great big fucking training ship, and you've got all these spacesuits and shuttles, and
also there's no other staff on the training ship. There's absolutely no security on the training ship, even though they
Where's
could
Jet
just stand
Reno?
there. Yeah, like literally, you could just have guards on the ship just in case something bad happens. And I know that's what the team leader's meant to be for. He's meant to be there to go, hey, if something bad happens, I'm here. But wouldn't it be good to just go, yeah, actually, let's have some people nearby in case anything kicks off? But I mean, yes, we talk about like Starfleet and like sheer fucking hubris, but this is past that point. This is past the point. This is the point where they have a fucking war college that's been going for years. The whole situation is that they're massively war focused because they're just getting back to exploration. They're just getting back to sort of relations with other things. They've become massively insular and sort of self-defensive. And yet nothing about their situation seems to suggest that. Like, nothing about their situation seems to be like, oh yeah, we have loads of defensive stuff, or oh, we are really paranoid about, away missions, or sort of like trusting other things. They just seem to be stupid. Like, they genuinely just seem to be like, and it's not in the other episodes. The other episodes, they're fine, but episode 1 and this one, when the action's happening, they just go, suddenly everyone had like a lobotomy.
But even the fact that it's literally mentioned that like traversing Federation space is now dangerous, and there's always these obstacles and adversaries. They mention it in the episode, and then 5 minutes later the same officers are shitting the bed, and he's like, okay, so if Starfleet has reverted to a more combat like war college, military arm in 120 years, surely you would rely on the war college and they would go, we're trained for this.
Yeah, and it could have been an amazing commentary compared to what we had last time in the last episode, where the B plot is that the war college has to do a diplomatic dinner, but they're all sort of war, they're all regiment and acumen and blah blah blah, and they can't do anything as subtle as doing poetry and song and like doing this cultural exchange, and that's why they need Aki to do it. This could have been a beautiful episode of Aki being like, no, we can do this without violence. We don't need violence. We need to do this. And then the war college being like, no, this is exactly what we're trained for. And here's all of our staff that could totally do it. And it's Aki realizing that there's a balance, that rather than it being the war college versus the Starfleet Academy, that the ideal
they need
situation,
each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does the episode go anywhere near there? No. The War College does nothing. They have one guy who gets killed, and then they've got Chancellor who's fucking useless anyway, who's practically a comedy character. We don't see anyone else, member of staff from the War College. They're not even... Yeah, and it's just...
But why would Kelrek not be in the same room as the Admiral, as Aki, as Nosraka? He is not there. And it's like... your
Because it
cadets
doesn't
are
suit
in
the
danger
plot.
as well. Yeah, it doesn't suit the plot. And it could have been, like you said, it could have been this is where the War College thrives. And, he's like, we have got people trained for this. They come in and, that is
Rather than
their
it being the
plot.
Dadmiral suggesting Nusbraka, it should have been the War College was suggesting a riskier strategy, and Aki being like, no, let's not do it that way.
Yeah.
And it should have been an internal thing rather than. I don't know, like the problem is every time I weigh this episode up in my head, all I do is go, it would have been better if they got rid of Nusbraka and if they got rid of the actual what are they called?
The Fury.
The Furies. And the problem is, you're like, but that's the whole episode. Like, the whole
Yeah.
plot is that it's, oh, this is a Nusbraka vehicle. And I'm like, but it does it so badly that all we can do is, the way to fix this is just to not make it have Nusbraka in. Like, remove him from it. Like, have the Furies as, like, yes, have them in there, but have them resolved without outside. Oh,
But it could have shown. It could have shown. I mean, Jason's just hit it there. Bavi should have been the hero, not the victim. It could have shown where the
His death is
Starfleet,
meaningless in this.
the Starfleet cadets are completely out of their depth. They don't know what to do, and this is where we see the cadets of the War College thrive. Where
they are able to do what needs to be done
because they've got the military training available to look at it and go, we need to explore every avenue, we need to do this. And you could see, you could have the Starfleet cadets panicking or not knowing what to do, and they're looking at the science aspect whilst the War College is looking at the more militaristic aspect, and they're going, right, well, you're going to try and get the engine started to reduce the dampening field and beam off. We're going to take it. We're going to barricade. We're going to barricade the only exit available, and we're also going to look at the options of jettisoning the bridge module so we can float away and leaving them. We could look at activating the computer and venting the atmosphere, which is again something they could have done. And you think they made this huge song and dance about these personal force fields from the animated series, by the way. Well done. But they could have, you've got these personal force fields that you can just wear.
They're useful in this episode. Oh wait, no, someone gets shot.
But again, they make a song and dance at the beginning, and then they are never used. When it's like, hey, okay, we've got these personal things. Why don't we vent the atmosphere and disable the grav plating and just suffocate them to death, and we can just walk out free? It doesn't get used, and it's so frustrating.
It is. This episode must have done, as a set of bullet points of things that needed to happen, and they just Occam razored it to go, what's the quickest way we can get to that? And then they ignored all possible, but what about this? But what about this? And they just went, nah, we'll just do it straight to there. And it becomes like, what's it called? Rise of Skywalker, where you just go like, oh, so things just happen so you can get to the next point, and then
somehow,
that takes you to the next point. And then, okay, that's terrible writing. And like the whole episode, we could have had a discussion about the whole what works and what doesn't work, and had it the War College, they learn to work together, but they don't really have any dialogue. They literally, they're
the cannon fodder.
Yeah, but Barvi basically goes like, I like comics, and then they're like, oh, that's strange, and that's it. There's no sort of, they're not arguing. Like, what annoys me is none of them use any skills that they would have learned from school.
Yeah.
So the beginning of the exam, Caleb goes in and he uses programmable matter that is not like, and obviously they were like, are you allowed to do that? Which basically suggests that's not standard procedure. That's not what they would actually teach you in the actual academy or the War College. And he does that. So he's come into the college with these skills and he's using them here. Sam hijacks the computer using her unique ability of basically being a hologram, not using the knowledge that she's learned of computing through the actual academy. And then obviously Jaden is meant to be a healer, and he does nothing healing. He literally just goes, this is going to leave a scar, but it doesn't actually fix your wounds at all. I don't have any painkillers. I don't have it. I don't seem to be actually able to do the basic Dr. McCoy away.
There's no
triaging
that we
had
or anything
1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's also, what annoys me is the idea of why the hell is, what's his name? Is it Kyle? His love interest? Yeah,
Kyle. Yes, I believe so.
yeah, Jaden's love interest, Kyle. He's on the mission. That could have been a whole like, oh my God, they're just getting to know each other and the relationship's just kind of doing. Oh my God, is Kyle gonna get killed? And none of the scenes are framed that way. Kyle is never seemingly in danger. He just gets his leg injured. Uh, I don't know, like I don't know if it's a misery thing or something, but like Jaden just doesn't heal him. Uh, and then yeah, and they don't really do anything. I'm like, I don't know. I just think it would have been better had Kyle not been there and they'd saved them being in peril together and made it like romantic or made it kind of like, like a big deal of going, oh my God, I when you were getting hurt, like I realized that I loved you and all of that stuff. That could have been a thing. But squandered.
It's so frustrating, and I really don't want to talk about it anymore. I really don't want to talk. This is 2026's elogium for me, because it's so
This didn't actually make me feel physically sick. I will give it
it
that.
just it didn't make me feel sick. It frustrated me, because I'm rooting for Starfleet Academy. I went in cautiously optimistic. I didn't have high hopes. I was pleasantly surprised. We made the decision. We made the conscious decision, folks, me and Synoiz, because what our decision was going to be, if Starfleet Academy wasn't good, we would do a 1 and 2 review, a mid-season review, and then a full season review. But we had such a good time with episode 2 that we were like, we're going to do this weekly, and so far it has paid off. And then this week it's genuinely made me regret like doing it, because they had so many good ways of doing this episode and none of them were done. They had so many good little things that they could have done, like Jason said there. Like, one of them could have been volunteered to be thrown out of the airlock, but because they've got the personal force field, when the biosignature was detected, Athena would be like, oh, there he, beam him back. And then he's like, this is the situation. This is what's going on. And then they could have, again, with these personal forfeit, they could have fired them. There's loads of things that they could have done.
Caleb has access to programmable matter, and then it just gets ignored. It just goes like
completely ignored.
He managed to reprogram like a girl, like a holographic girl that he's never even been in the controls of within a couple of seconds in the previous episode. And then in this one, he's like, I don't know how computers work. It's like, hey, there's nothing we can do to seal the door. And I'm just like, you have programmable matter. I'm pretty sure you'd be able to, jam the door shut or something. I don't know. It's just everything about it.
I need to watch DS9.
Yeah, I think that's it. I'm. The problem is I don't know if I'm meant to be streaming after this, because I kind of want to stream because it's one of my last opportunities to, but I have no idea what I'm going to play because we finished Final Fantasy VII.
Just watch DS9 on Twitch. Just watch DS9.
Yeah, just get cancelled.
This is a good episode.
But that's it. I had great episodes. The 2 episodes I watched yesterday were Cardassians, which is an amazing Garak episode. That is an amazing Garak and Gul Dukat and Bashir episode. And then, I've forgotten the name of it, but like I say, it's the one with the girl in the wheelchair, Bashir episode.
Yes.
Incredible. There's so much to discuss in these, and they're so good. And they're just basic episodes. They're not even like the peak episodes of that season kind of thing. And then watching this and just being like, oh God, we forgot how to plot.
I've because seasonal depression has hit me hard this week, because I get up in the dark, I go to work in the dark, I come home in the dark, and it's been raining for 43 days straight.
Really?
In England. It has been raining for 43 days straight. And all I've wanted to do is get home, and I've either wanted to watch The Next Generation or Enterprise. Because I need comfort.
Optimism. Yeah.
I need comfort. I need optimism. And I was genuinely I was busy last night. So that's why I didn't watch Academy last night. And I got home and I was like, I'm going to watch Academy. It's going to be good. And I just left. I was tired from the week as it was, because I walk 35 miles a week. But I was tired. But I thought this will reinvigorate me. We'll have a good discussion about whatever message it's going to have this week. And then I left, and I vividly remember I just turned off Paramount Plus and I just went, and then just came upstairs. I was just like, right, and I shouldn't.
What did I text you with?
This
When
is
I was
Gash.
watching the episode, this is Gash, right? There we go. That was literally.
It shouldn't make me feel like that.
Eloquent things I say to you, and all of the ways I sort of present ideas to you and whatnot over WhatsApp. I literally just text him halfway through the episode, being like, "Oh no, this is Gash."
I work outside. It's been a tough year. I walk, so I walk 7 miles a day to and from the train station and work. And every single day it has been pouring with rain, and 90% of my clothes are still wet. All right, like everything is soaking. So the seasonal depression is super hard, and like just to have the hope of Star Trek to watch a week, and even that has kicked me in the nuts this week. And I really don't want to talk about it anymore. I think we have picked apart the plot holes. We have suggested how it could have been improved, and I genuinely don't know where they go from here. I don't know. Nos Brakka is not a good villain of the season. He is not. He really, really isn't.
He's just, I don't know. He's just, yeah. I just don't like him.
He reminds me.
And this is the problem. There's so many good characters in this show which we need elaboration on. Like, you know, but then Lurathok just seems to be like wasted potential. And you know, Nus Brakka is just like. And have you noticed though that like the episodes of Nus Brakka in Aki becomes a totally different character, like, and it just almost feels like it's, and yes, it's the sort of thing of going, oh, she goes serious when she's around him because he's like evil and all that lark, but it's more the idea of just, I don't know. It's like she's a different character. It's like she's a totally different person in the episodes with Nus Brakka. Like, because she wasn't the happy, playful person that we get in season 2, episodes 2 through 5 in episode 1, and she's not in this one. And it just feels, oh, yeah.
I'm going to propose a theory, and this is literally going to be my only theory of the night because I am just past caring now.
I love how done you are with this.
Live, laugh, toast a bath. I feel that the reveal at the end of episode 10 is that Nos Brakka is not the big bad. That there is someone higher in charge than Nos Brakka, and that's what we're going to feel, because he does feel like middle management.
Yeah.
That's how he feels, like middle management that's trying to act like the big I am, but we'll find out, he is taking orders from someone higher. And I'm telling you, it's going to be Caleb's mum. It's going to be Caleb's mother. Yeah. It's going to be,
you said it.
The revelation is going to be she works her way up, she's in charge, and that's what it's going to be. And I knew this episode was going to be bad by the end of it because they said the word USS Discovery, and I was like, yeah, all right, just pour salt. Pour salt into the gaping gash that is this episode.
I mean, it's like, imagine if they actually fully double down on the absolute wank. And they have it where the twist at the end of the series is that it's Caleb's mum is in charge of Nus Brakka and all of the space pirates, but she's actually Borg now. And then they bring the Borg back again, and then it's just feel like, look,
but the Borg are not the Borg.
The only villains were allowed in Trek.
But the Borg are not the Borg. It's actually a race of Burnhams.
The Burnhams?
The Burnhams.
Your plot line is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I am completely and utterly checked out. I am so checked out. I'm in the car park right now. I am done. I am really done.
I've stepped out of the Aldi and just climbed into the bins outside. That's how I'm feeling about this episode.
I'm just waiting for the binman to toss me into the landfill. That's how done I am with this episode. Do you have any further notes for this episode other than the word wank?
Okay, no, what I need you to do is you need to create a poll. Okay, we're gonna do a quick poll here because we've got about 5 minutes. A quick poll of was this episode wank? Yes or no? There we go.
All
That's how
right, I'm gonna
mature
put
I'm
up.
being
I'm
today.
gonna put up a poll now. Here we go. Was this episode? Uh, there we go. Um,
There,
here we
okay.
go. Okay, there's the poll. Vote now. Was this episode wank? Yes, no, yes, but with cheese. Vote now. And if you are lactose intolerant, I don't care. So, do you have any further notes though for "Come Let's Away"?
No, I'm just I think no, this is the problem. It's like I think the reason why I hated this episode so much is because it doesn't give me the fodder that I like talking about Trek. It doesn't give me the lens of discussing the relationships
And we've
and
had
how characters work.
stellar episodes.
Like but it's the fact that we haven't even talked about like what it wants to be the main plot line, which is obviously the relationship between Caleb and Terima,
Yep.
because I don't care. Like it just feels so bland and like I I'm annoyed. I don't know if it's me being a bit like heterophobic or something, but it made me uncomfortable having like this like sex scene at the beginning of the episode, but just being like, have we seen something that explicit in Trek before? Like the closest we've got is like Jadzia being like sort of, wearing a towel and having men leave her sort of quarters or something. Like that's probably, and we've had people in bed, but not stuff. But then in this,
Yeah.
it just feels like it mentions the word sexy. Like I don't think I've heard anyone say sexy in Trek before. And this is obviously, yes, it's for a younger audience and stuff, but it just I don't know. The whole thing of uh, the bits that I like about Caleb are the fact that he's flawed. He is not a Mary Sue. He is a character who has all of these skills that are really useful, but he has massive flaws that hold him back from reaching his potential. That is perfect sort of
Yep.
anti-hero hero characteristics. But then the fact that he's in this relationship with Terima, or they're, friends with benefits or whatever, but then as soon as she like gets a glimpse into his mind, he immediately becomes a pissy little bitch again and just starts, being like, "Oh, you weren't allowed to do that." Oh, blah, blah. And you're just like, it just and I should like it because that is good for his character to go, hey, he's not ready to share that and stuff. But then it doesn't really go anywhere with it. He just kind of they resolve it later, but then she might be dead. Oh, who cares? But yeah, I think that's it. I think I just Terima is just a very empty character, and I think the season expects us to have a lot more investment in her and like her and Caleb's relationship in order to make these stakes feel like they're stakes. But
Yeah.
instead, in this one, it's just like going, yeah, I kind of keep. I wrote down her name every single episode because I actually can't remember it. But all I can, and yeah, I don't know. I think I would have taken the Terima and Caleb stuff out of this episode and just, yeah, I would have taken them out of this episode. I would have taken Nusbracker out the episode. I would have taken the like the sonic weapon ship and the space station out of the episode. And then you're just like, well, they're the main focuses of it. So basically, what I want is a totally different episode. So,
It should have been a Kobayashi Maru.
yeah.
It should have been a Kobayashi Maru, a no-win situation, and then right at the end, it all revealed that it's a simulation, but we can't because we had to have Nosbraka, because Nosbraka is Paul Giamatti. We've paid a lot of money for having Paul Giamatti in Starfleet Academy, and he has to be the big villain, although he does not have the gravitas as a character to be a big villain. He's actually just annoying. And why the fuck is he using modern day language?
Oh,
Rick
don't get me
Rick
started on this.
Berman. Look, right.
Oh,
I'm gonna say
I
I'm gonna
wrote
say
down
this
the whole
now.
idea. Why on earth would he reference like the sound of music a
Yes.
1,000 years
Oh my
later?
god.
Like
And look,
they
I
need to
we
give him some kind of backstory of, oh, he's obsessed with like like American like 20th century culture
yeah.
or something. But it just feels like, you know what it feels like? It feels like they wrote him one way and the actor came in and then just ad-libbed, and they let him, and he
Yeah.
ad-libbed all of these references, but he has no idea or reference point of Trek. He's never watched Trek before. He's just ad-libbing what he thinks would work for the scene. That's the only way I can believe that they got away with this, because if it was written on paper and that's how the character actually talks, someone needs to be fired, you know.
And he has noughts and crosses on the side of his head. And
Yeah,
I
what is
know
with that?
I know
Wouldn't
that
you need to redo them every day?
I know we've mentioned Rick Berman, but he does have a point when he said recently that contemporary language in modern Star Trek is not good and will date
Yeah.
very poorly. And I know
Well, these
Jason
episodes will date
mentioned this
awfully, but
earlier on.
the
Yeah,
graphics will date terribly because they've relied so much on CG and whatnot for just in the background of stuff. So that's gonna come up like a bloody, red flag later on. The music is awful. Like the music sounds dated already, but not even in a nostalgic way, in a kind of that's embarrassing way.
yeah.
And then uh and then obviously yeah, like the costumes and the language and stuff are just a bit like
It
it's
it
yeah.
it's just there's so many. The interesting thing is Paul is a huge Star Trek fan.
Is
So,
he?
but
Surely he
here's
would
the
have.
thing, Chris. Here's
Surely
the
he should have
thing.
done a Henry Cavill though and go, I'm not saying that then.
Yeah,
Like,
here's the thing. The writing for his character is super bad because it uses far too much contemporary language that a half Klingon, half Tellarite wouldn't really use. And this is it frustrates me because using contemporary language in Strange New Worlds is fine. We had it a little bit in Enterprise, but I know Enterprise was Berman, and it was a Berman era, so he was dead
yeah.
set against it. Strange New Worlds, that's fine. It's close to that era. Having it 1,000 years into the future, and like Synoiz said, referencing the Sound of Music, calling people babe, having knots and crosses on your
It
head, it
suggests that nothing has happened in 1,000 years, that
it
there is
really
no better
does.
cultural relate. It's this idea of going, what, like literally when I'm researching, it's nothing's been done with it at the moment, but I'm like trying to write a novel in the background of stuff and having to research and think of different cultures and go, hey, how would this culture have evolved over the time period that it's set in, and how would this work? How would this work? How would their language develop?
Yeah,
All this stuff, and you don't need 90% of it. You don't
yeah.
need 90% of it. You just go, I've thought about how that would happen, and the way the language is in this and the way the cultural references happen in this, it's like nothing's happened for 800 years.
That's how it
And the burn didn't
feels.
last that long. Like, even like in the episodes of DS9 I was watching, it has it where they put music on and it's a Vulcan composer. And they're like, "Oh, play some music by such and such." And it's like, "Oh yeah, I don't like his music always seemed too emotional for a Vulcan for me." And you're like, "That is lore. That is made up, but that is how people would speak. There would be other composers. It wouldn't just be, oh well, the only music we listen to is from 2000s England, you know."
It
It
it just it frustrates me because, like you said, it's 800 years into the future. All the writers would have to do is create their own slang,
Yeah,
input certain words. Battlestar Galactica had this type
yes.
of thing. They replaced the F word with the word frack because and it was such an easy thing to do, and then it became its own thing and it became synonymous with that. You could do so many things where it's like it's 1,000 years, 800,000 years into the future. You could have certain words. You could have, people saying, "Oh my God." Why are they saying, "Oh
And
my God"?
all the lore that we're getting is totally pointless stuff that isn't ever going to be relevant. Like in last episode where we go, oh, what's it, Raimi's race, vomit glitter, and you're like, that's interesting, but it's not really
Why
world
do we
building.
care?
You know,
Yeah,
it's like cool, that's a thing, but like it's not really like, I don't know. It was framed as a kind of, oh, look
and
at
I
the exciting lore we've got, and it's like going, but
and
language,
the
it's
thing is, the
yeah,
thing is
it's
as
it's
well.
it's like Rings of Power, okay? Where Rings of Power, they obviously don't get Tolkien because it's got nothing to do with culture or language, and they
Yeah,
totally ignore all of that. And that's the heart of Tolkien's universe is the idea of language. All of these different people having different languages and different ways of doing things. And in Rings of Power, everyone's the same. Everyone is just humans. They all have human values. They all talk like humans. They all use slang like each other. And you're just going, you have totally missed the assignment of what you're meant to be doing here.
But it's like you could look and, if they truly looked at the Star Trek universe and go, right, in 800 years, obviously all of these races have been, like amalgamated with each other. They've interacted with each other, and their own languages and dialects and words have all bled in with each other. And you could have like. You could have a language where it is, it is
the
English,
Federation
but there's
so saturated with Romulan culture from what happened to them and them getting integrated.
Romulan culture, Vulcan culture. You could have
would have words mixed in with stuff.
Thank you. You could have Klingon swear words. You could have Vulcan insults and stuff like that.
The amount of words we use in every day that are French words, isn't like mortgage. Mortgage is a French word because it means Morton Gate. It's all these things, and yet it's just like these are the exciting things that you could explore in something set 800 years into the future. But instead, and even the idea of, wouldn't you get rid of slang in a lot of cases because the universal translator would just be like, oh, I'm just going to change that slang word into what it should be in order to translate it to other people.
But people are still dicks and assholes, and you're thinking, you could get so creative with it. You could get, and Star Trek is famous for doing that. They had insults like, "Oh, you're a Tellarite slug, you're a Rigelian slime ball," and stuff like that. And you'd go, "Yeah," because in hundreds and hundreds of years into the future, races have merged with one another and interact with one another. Their languages would bleed into one another, like it has in modern day, like you said, with the word mortgage, with other, especially with English and French words and Latin and stuff.
Mojo Jojo points out a very interesting thing, which is I like how they have universal translators, but the language on the displays is still in English. Yeah, I would like that. I would literally like it where, as it's got different crew members on the bridge and stuff, they're in different languages. Like the console, if it's a Tellarite sitting there at the console is showing it all in Tellarite. And that there's a button like we have with cash machines, like with computers and stuff, where you go, hey, do you want to flick the screen to English? Oh, someone's switching over and coming onto the bridge. Okay. I mean, the Next Generation got away with it because it just very rarely had actual words on the displays.
It was numerical. Yeah,
everything was numerical. But the fact is, it's can you imagine that? Can you imagine the idea of going it being the same as we have now, where you're a foreign language student coming to an English college or something, and then everything's in English and you just have to deal with it. And we're 1,000 years into the future now. And that's still the situation. Okay, you have to learn English to be at this one college that we have for the entire
we're 1,000
world,
years,
and then next to each other. The two colleges that you can be in for Starfleet are right next to each other, and their primary language is English.
Also, we're 1,000 years into the future, and we still use the classic TOS red alert alarm, and apparently the door sound effect is taken directly from Deep Space Nine. So all the doors on Starship Athena are Cardassian in nature because they have the same opening and locking mechanism. And I don't know. I'm done. I want to go to bed. Do you have any other notes for this episode?
No, I can keep going because such is my rage, but I think you might murder me.
I would not. I would never murder you. I think that this episode, I think, has left a sour taste in both of our mouths, and
usually I enjoy that. I mean,
ending the poll. Speaking of, we are at. Let me have a look. Was this episode wank? No, 50%. Yes, but with cheese. 50%. Yes, 0%. So.
It's a tie. We did have people who enjoyed it.
We do, and I've seen it. I have seen it online where people did enjoy this episode. And like I said, opinions are subjective. If you liked it, I want you all to leave a comment below. If you didn't like it, I want you to leave a comment below. Opinions are subjective, and I will never slander you for having an opinion. Okay, we are not like other podcasts.
But no, I won't.
He's an agent of chaos.
I just want to have this discussion. So please
Yes.
post in the comments saying what you liked about the episode, what you did. Like, how do you feel about the Caleb Tarima romance? Was that believable for you? Did you like the background that we had on there? Do you like Nuspraka? Like, do you genuinely go, oh, he's great. He's a great villain and stuff? Because that's the problem. I'm genuinely watching it being like, I can't imagine someone enjoying this. But
And the
people
problem
do.
we've
It has the
got,
highest rating out of the whole series so far on IMDb.
and the problem
Then
we've
again, to be
got,
fair, on the internet, isn't that oh, what's his name? The oh, what's it? Trump's wife. She's got a movie out, and apparently it's like mysteriously got really high scores from.
it's almost like a load of IMDb profiles were created at the same day. But the problem we've got, I mean, thank you to you lot. Thank you to each and every one of you. We are having our highest rated season of Trekking Up North ever. And we are receiving so many comments. But the problem is, when we approach them for conversation on why they don't like the show, why they don't like that episode, we get nothing back. So we would love to have a discussion. We would love to have these discussions with you in the comments. It helps the algorithm, obviously, but we want to understand and we want to get to know. And I think this is a prime episode to discuss with people. If you liked it, why did you like it? You know, what did you like about it? You know, what have you learned from this episode that we are not seeing? And it's all about understanding other people. People can have other opinions. That's absolutely fine. I'm never going to slander them for it. But I want to understand why they like this episode and you know, why they like this series. And we really want that conversation with you guys in the comments. So even if you are watching on the chat now, please, please, please leave us a comment down below because it would be fantastic to hear from each and every one of you. If you have no other notes, Science Officer Synoiz?
For the purposes of ending this episode, I have no.
Because it's been 2 hours. It's been 2 hours. This was going to be a quick episode, I thought. How wrong was I?
Oh, well, final note. Actually, I just noticed it there. No, when the Furies first arrived, I had bloody Bane syndrome. You know, from Dark Knight Rises, where I was like, "What the fuck are they saying?" I have no idea what they say in that first appearance. Like they're literally talking, and there's no subtitles or anything, and it's just like, and the next time they talk, there's something about an airlock, but that's it. Like I couldn't understand a word, and I was like, you know, when Americans have to use subtitles just for someone who comes from Northern England or anyone from Ireland, you know, it just seems a bit odd that they weren't present like automatically in this episode.
I heard if they try and listen to a Birmingham person, they have a nosebleed. So
so do I, actually.
I mean, Brummy starts talking and furniture starts floating when I'm. But thank you so much to everybody who has tuned in for tonight's episode. We love each and every one of you. It is so. I had Chronicles of Riddick flashbacks. Oh, the Fury Race are just all Vin Diesels. That would have been so much better. But thank you so much for everybody who tuned up for our review of Come Let's Away from Starfleet Academy. We will be back next week for episode 7. Fingers crossed it's going to be a marked improvement over this week's episode. Are you going to be streaming tonight?
I am. I'm going to stream.
You're going to do it.
Just play something random, but yes, we will get it sorted. Everyone.
Science Officer Synoiz will be live on Twitch, whose link is down in the description below. And speaking of links, we have a fancy Discord, and all of our friends of this show with all their sexy, delicious channels are all down below. And you can also find Trekkin Up North socials in there as well. If you liked this video, please, 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 please give us a like. And if you are not a subscriber of Trekkin Up North, what are you doing with your life? How dare you be well-adjusted and financially stable? Please click that subscribe button. We want to get our numbers. We need to get to 500 subscribers in order for us to get to the next step. So that would be brilliant. Share us with the world as well. We want to share our love of Star Trek after tonight. Love of Star Trek with the world, because we do. We talk smack, but we genuinely do love Star Trek. And you know, art is subjective, and what I think we pride ourselves on quite a lot is we will have criticisms, but we will deliver reasoning and constructive feedback on what they could have done better, as opposed
I
to
hope that's
it's
how
shit.
people have watched this episode. I hope that's how people have taken this, of us being constructive with our feedback rather than being like, I didn't like it, it was shit. You know, it's
I don't like it.
yeah,
So
like hopefully
it's got
we've
work.
articulated it.
Yeah,
It don't work.
it don't work.
Like
It's got
Packlets.
work. It's got work.
Why episode no go?
What are we doing? Right. With
Goodbye, everyone.
goodbye, everyone. Like I said, oh God, I can't even talk. This episode has melted me. I am Captain Goodwill of the Starship Adequate. The delectable Geesian from the planet Honk has been Science Officer Synoiz. This has been Trekking Up North. Until next week, I want you all to stay safe, look after each other, live long and prosper, and as ever on
Miles?
Trekking Up North.
Miles,
Niles?
this episode sucks. Now get out.